But the boldest attempt to harness the energy and enthusiasm of the people came in 1958. To speed up progress, Mao wanted to use the force he believed in most, China's sheer numbers, for his great leap forward. Propaganda cartoons showed how the Chinese were meant to overtake Western industry and food production. Peasants, already reorganized into cooperatives, were herded into huge communes. In his area, District Secretary Zhong Guodong took on another challenge.
I was responsible for setting up people's communes and turned 8 agricultural cooperatives into 2 big communes. There were over 100,000 people in each one. Big communes could handle big projects. With thousands of people to do a job, things were completed in no time.
Production brigades were directed to where they were thought to be needed most, under militia-like discipline. The party said it was a more efficient, better, faster way to build socialism. Private land had already gone. Now family life was to be destroyed as well. Peasants were to eat food cooked in central kitchens. Children would be looked after together. Mao set the target of doubling food production in 1 year. Revolutionary enthusiasm, he said, will triumph over all obstacles. He took a close interest as the peasants competed to increase yields. When the Dongshun commune promised a record harvest, it was Zhong Guodong, the district secretary, who showed the chairman round.
Chairman Mao himself visited the show field and asked how much it was expected to yield. My colleague said 50,000 pounds an acre. Chairman Mao replied to him, even if you could achieve 10% of that, it would be a miracle.
The party encouraged the rivalry. In the past, wheat yields had been £500 an acre.
会上，各乡各社的英雄们用喝干大海、斩断高山的气概，摆开了争夺水稻冠军的擂台。三关乡的好汉们首先扯起了水稻亩产3000斤，紧跟着下岗乡的好汉涌上擂台，大声喝道：“保证水稻亩产4000斤，秋后丰收上北京。”北郭乡的英雄们哪能落后？三关错失加了马，我们错失赛火箭，我们亩产5000斤。全县各乡打擂台的英雄和干部们一起宣誓，争取水稻超过10000斤。
In fact, the records were bogus. Communes falsified their figures.
就把那个生产的好稻子拔到那儿堆到那儿去。
We removed all the ready planted rice from the fields and replanted it in a show field so that we could reach our quota.
是，搞不好的，一股通风不透光。
Planting it so densely with no light or wind blowing through meant it would rot.
搞了时间不长就都烂了。
Before long, the rice did rot, and the peasants got angry. They said, if you take all the rice and waste it, what will we eat in the autumn? The peasants didn't want to go on with this cheating. I tried to get it stopped, but the municipal boss ordered us to carry on.
But the false statistics contributed to a dangerous delusion that China had plenty of food and could concentrate on other things. We must reach for the moon and the stars, said Mao. Man can achieve anything he can imagine. Great construction projects also pulled mass numbers against apparently insuperable obstacles. Lin County in Henan was an arid plain blocked off by mountains. The 3,000 kilometers long Red Flag Canal was planned to bring in water over the rocky terrain. The canal workers were celebrated as revolutionary heroes. Zhen Yangchung worked on the rock face.
I'd tie a rope around my body and swing out in the air. I used a pick to remove the loose stones. When they fell, I had to try hard to keep out of the way and avoid getting my legs broken.
Accidents were frequent. Zhen Yangchung was sent to clear up afterwards.
When you were at the foot of the mountain and looked up, you could see bits of flesh glinting in the sun. I climbed down the rope. I picked up some dirt to wipe away every trace of the bodies. Otherwise, people would have been too frightened to carry on.
But the canal took twice as many people and far longer to build than expected.
Initially, there were 30,000 on the project. The plan was that if each person built 1 meter, the canal would be completed in 1 or 2 months. But it was all much more difficult because the canal was halfway up a mountain. In the end, it took 10 years to complete.
In the Great Leap Forward's most ambitious goal, Chinese were told production of steel also had to double in 1 year. And instead of producing this just from heavy industry, the energy and goodwill of the peasants was to be mobilized again. Small furnaces were built in villages and backyards across the country. They collected any scrap they could find. Next, they melted down doorknobs, wash basins, tools. As the fever grew, people even gave up their cooking woks. He Jinhua had never made steel before, but used her ingenuity.
When we built our own furnaces, it was hard to reinforce them. Earth on its own wasn't strong, but we didn't have enough straw. I had a long pigtail, so I cut it off and snipped it into short pieces and mixed it with the earth in the furnace wall. Many of the other women cut off their hair as well.
He Jinhua's husband, Yan Tianyun, also filmed at the time, was just as keen.
The two of us competed really hard. If my team produced 3 tons of steel a shift, their team would make over 3 tons. And then I would encourage my team to think of ways to beat that.
Forests were decimated to fuel the furnaces 24 hours a day. All over China, almost everyone, even hospital doctors, neglected their normal jobs to answer the call. But But even those taking part began to see it was folly.
All we did was make steel and nothing else. We didn't produce anything useful. How could we? We dug holes in the ground and tried to produce steel. It was all such a waste of time. But the orders came from above. We had to obey them.
Slowly it became clear that after so much effort and time, after so much wood had been burnt and so many pots consigned to the flames, the steel produced was impure, weak and useless. The full effect of the disastrous experiment began to be seen in 1959. While the peasants had been making steel, they had done little else. Crops had rotted in the fields. Seed hadn't been planted. Food was already short. Because of the falsely exaggerated harvest, the government had taken a bigger share of the crops to send to the cities. A drought made the problem worse. In 1960, the scarcity turned into a major famine. National food production fell over a quarter. Local secretary Luo Shifa had been away from his village studying at a party school.
When I came back from Beijing, I saw that many people had bloated stomachs from starvation. We had 1,600 starving people in our commune. Some were falling over with weakness and just lying in the road. Others died. When the peasants saw me, they began to cry. I cried too. They said to me, if I got there any later, they might all have been dead.
In a secret report, the party later admitted the full extent of the calamity. Their own figures showed that over 20 million had died from the famine. It was almost certainly more. The new graves in the burial grounds confirmed that the Great Leap had failed. Revolutionary enthusiasm hadn't been enough.